Elon Musk just confirmed major Tesla news. Investors celebrate. There's also a price increase, and there is major news coming from China for Tesla. And there's a major attack against Tesla and Elon from a multi-billionaire. So this episode is pretty important. Pay attention. Let's start with the big news. Tesla FSD V12 is running in Europe, specifically Germany, and Tesla is giving demos to regulators. And the regulator says impressive, smooth, and natural driving. Elon Musk confirmed this news by saying we believe version 12 is ready for supervised FSD in left-hand drive countries. Right-hand drive will take a bit longer. This is really good news because this is the first time we have seen an official use FSD on European roads. And he's impressed with it, meaning it is probably going to move forward, and FSD take rate in Europe is going to go up. And if that goes up, Tesla's earnings go up. And if that goes up, Tesla's stock goes up. If you like where this is going, click the like button. Now, we know that the regulators in Europe are extremely strict, and the way the regulations are set up right now is before the car does anything, it has to ask for permission. Can I dodge this crash? Press allow, too late. But with the regulator being impressed, that could be changing. And he was taking on a 30-mile journey along the streets of Munich, so that's a pretty long ride. And you can see from the regulator having posted these pictures that FSD did not exactly go through the easiest parts of the city. Now, I'm sure Tesla tested this route many times, but it doesn't seem completely easy. Now, we know that Tesla has been testing FSD in some capacity in Europe since at least 2021, and that testing could be paying off now with the official being impressed. It also doesn't hurt that he is an official from Sweden, and we know that Tesla had some issues in Sweden late last year with the union strikes and everything. So people having a better opinion of Tesla from Sweden, that works in Tesla's favor as well. Anyway, I would expect Tesla to probably do more demos in the future, and maybe Tesla already has done more. It just, this one is we know about as of right now. So we're having a good news day today for Tesla, so naturally you would expect some bad news after that, right? Wrong. We have a price increase for the vehicle that Tesla has just released. It only has been 3 days since Tesla started accepting Model 3 performance orders in the US, and the price has now increased by $1,000. But Tesla has also lowered the price of the white interior and the black exterior paint option, both by $500. So if you wanted that exact combination, you won't be paying more, but overall, it is definitely a price increase. The Model 3 is in a tricky situation because the performance one qualifies for the $7,500 EV tax credit, but the long range one doesn't. So the cheaper long range model is actually more expensive for most people as long as you get the credit. But if you do want to lease the long range model, you still get the $7,500 EV tax credit, but not if you buy it or finance it. So Jameson from Electric is speculating that maybe that's why Tesla increased the price of the Model 3 Performance, but they knew about all of that before releasing the price initially. So yeah, I think there are two possible explanations. Number one, there is higher demand and therefore Tesla is increasing the price. That's very likely. Number two, that was Tesla's strategy from the beginning. Hey, look, we're going to put this car out at a lower price than what we think we should charge, and then we're going to increase the price, creating this scarcity mindset. But if that was the case, I think Tesla would have increased the price one day after, probably, because you get the largest number of orders in the very beginning and then they die down. So I'm leaning towards this being somewhat bullish. Now, if more people start lining up for this vehicle, I would expect Tesla to increase the price up to $55,000. So another $1,000 from here could be added to the total price. I wouldn't expect Tesla to increase the price beyond that because then Tesla would just lose the $7,500 tax credit. But then if you add anything extra, you won't be qualifying for the tax credit, right? If Tesla increases the price further. So I'm not sure how likely the additional increase is. And of course, because Tesla would be getting better margins for the Model 3 Performance, that's going to be the trend that Tesla is going to prioritize going forward, because Tesla is still production limited, specifically with the Model 3 in the US. And this is a bit of good news given the Model 3 Performance was just launched. There will be significantly higher demand for this trim. This suggests a better sales mix for Q2 versus Q1. which will be gross margin positive. There's some huge news coming out from China. Tesla China has launched its enhanced autopilot monthly subscription. So it's not exactly FSD, but it's getting there. The price though is 700 RMB. So in China, you get enhanced autopilot, which is not FSD, for the same price that Americans get FSD. I definitely expect changes, especially keeping in mind that the Chinese consumer does not have as much money as the American consumer. And autopilot is probably not as good in China. Now, Tesla Chan says there is also a slight difference in feature support depending on the hardware. And I would certainly expect FSD to be coming out soon as well in China. They might call it something slightly different just to make sure that if something does go wrong, the publicity is not going to be as bad over there. Or maybe they will just call it full self-driving supervised. I'm not sure. And someone is guessing maybe it's exactly the same as FSD, but they just changed the name. I don't think so. Here's what you get with it. I'm going to translate it. Okay, so it does say automatic assisted navigation driving, automatic assisted lane change, summon, smart summon, and automatic parking. So in theory, that's basically everything my car does on FSD. It's just that maybe Tesla is using extra careful language about what they call this software, specifically in China. Oh, and actually the pricing does make more sense now, because if you get it for 3 months, you only pay $66 a month. Okay, that's fair, especially if it's basically FSD. So I'm gonna try to find out if enhanced autopilot in China is actually the same thing as FSD in the US. Right now, I'm not seeing anyone say anything. The only issue with China specifically is that China does not allow Tesla to store Chinese data overseas. So Tesla would have to basically build another team for China unless you take FSD from North America and you put that in a Chinese vehicle. Maybe that will work, but people over there do drive a bit differently. I'm speaking from experience. I have been there. But if you are a really good driver in the US, like a really good driver, you will do okay in China too. So maybe it's okay. You just need to know a few quirks and laws and stuff like that. It will be really interesting what people think about FSD or enhanced autopilot in China. In the meantime, Omar continues with another day of not driving. And Gary did a poll. What do you expect the FSD take rate at $99 per month will be among the 1.8 million trial subscriptions when the free 30-day trial period ends next week? Most people seem to think it's going to be between 10 to 20%. I definitely don't expect more than 20% of the people to take it. That's because I showed FSD to a few people. I took them on rides with me, and the moment FSD did something uncomfortable, they became not interested immediately. Overall, they were impressed, but they were like, nah, it's gonna be just easier if I drive myself. But they did tell me, let me know when I don't really need to pay much attention, and then I will consider. I think any technology enthusiast will definitely subscribe. People that have long drives through not insanely difficult conditions, I think a lot of these people will seriously consider it. If you live in the San Francisco area, you're gonna have a much better experience on it, so a lot of these people are more likely to subscribe. But it only takes 1 or 2 really uncomfortable situations with FSD for you not to want to subscribe. And in 30 days, you will probably have at least a few of these. And if I had passengers with me all the time, I would be less likely to subscribe for one reason. When you disengage, it does make quite a sound. I mean, it's not a scary sound, but it's like, oh, what's going on? And it is usually done when something is happening. Something weird is happening on the road, so it makes people uncomfortable. But if I could disengage and somehow maybe only the steering wheel vibrated, so I would know clearly that it's disengaged, but it wouldn't make a sound so that other people can hear around me, then I would be much more likely to subscribe. Now, in my specific case, I don't need to think about subscribing or not subscribing because I just purchased it outright earlier. But just having used the software myself, I don't think, I mean, I would be surprised if more than 20% of the people subscribed, but as it gets better fast, Yeah, I think that number certainly could be bumped to 25% and maybe even 30%, and then eventually above 30%. I think that is going to happen eventually. Now, someone says take rate was 22% before the trial period, and when FSD was $199 a month, 400,000 out of 1.8 million vehicles. Expect a doubling at the very least. But this factors in a lot of people like me who have already purchased FSD outright. Maybe the final number could be somewhere in the high teens. Also, we know that not everyone has V12 yet. Yes, even today, not everyone still has it. And if people are getting V11, yeah, I don't think many of them will subscribe. In Gary's opinion, the take rate is going to be closer to 10%, since on the call Elon Musk said only half of those who were offered the free FSD trial were using it. FSD V12 progress has been amazing, but until it gets to 99.99% efficacy, less than one intervention per 10,000 trips, I don't see massive adoption at $99 a month. FSD may help sell more Teslas though. So if about 20% of the people that actually tried the trial end up subscribing, you end up with a 10% take rate considering the whole fleet. But the good thing is people are still taking advantage of the trial, and Tesla is seeing more people trying it each week.